Sure. Good evening. Like to call this meeting of the Charter Review Commission to order. Michael, would you please take the roll?
Robert Brennan here. Scott Copley,
Here,
Scott Guthrie,
Here.
Jim Humphrey,
Here.
Brad Mayer,
Here.
Ben Para,
Here.
Sarah Repose,
Here.
Michael Stevens, I'm present, and Ted Tracy.
Here.
And Ray Angel.
Here. Fantastic. We have a full vote tonight, which is nice. I'm not sure it's gonna last too long, but Sarah's got
Sorry.
a commitment, so. Emergency evacuation procedures are, should an alarm ring, we go out this door, which leads directly outside. Has everyone had the opportunity to see the minutes of June 15th?
Yes.
Yes. Are there any corrections or additions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes of June 15th.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor,
Aye.
chair votes aye, so moved.
Who had the second?
I just want to abstain from that one because I wasn't present.
Upside, Sarah abstains because she was not at that meeting, which is fine. And it was Bob that seconded that. Thank you. Old business, polling questions, results, additions, and continuation. I believe that, Ben sent us the latest. And, we probably, will no longer be polling because we're gonna be ending the commission pretty soon. We could leave it open for, when we present, but we did have, over 275 people or some.
Between
number.
275 and 300, I believe.
Okay. And there was participation. There were some questions about it that we got resolved, thanks to Bob. So. I guess we can continue to run it, and we'll use it when we do our presentation to the council, and they would like to have that Monday night. I'm not sure that we'll have all of the language for them, but we should have all of the sections. What we're trying to do, and hopefully. We can get the legislative. Language in print form to them over the weekend. So. Including the pros and the cons. Maybe we can just do the pros and the cons on the presentation. I don't know, but I think that if it's gonna be a document, then we can include that with that, because the public's gonna be able to read. The entire document, because it'll go online. Just like the 2010 one did. 801 through 859, Jim.
Yeah, I have a bunch of actions from the last meeting that I followed up with, and I'm glad you're here. So I'll just go through them. There's really kind of three topics that I kind of synthesize them into: cost, process, and signatures in time. Remember, we got some feedback from the council, some things I wanted to follow up with. Regarding the including mailing something to everybody. We talked about that a lot. Again, I just conferred again with Ben. It's like to get it to all electors. It's about $15,000 cost time to do it. I mean, I'm still, as I thought about it, I was trying to reach out to other town clerks, and I was going to mention it's amazing. You call town clerks and you get the town clerk. I'm so used to calling companies where you get somebody who will tell you somebody, you'll tell you somebody. They're all very, very helpful. But in the cases that I kind of summarized, like the 9 towns, they've had one referendum in the last 5 years. They did not do a mailing. So I really couldn't get that information from them. How did a mailing go that it increased the number of respondents at your referendum by ballot? So I wasn't, I still wrote verbiage in the language that I shared with Ray and Ted just today to include, that mailing to everybody, because I think these budget decisions are super important and people need to be informed. So any more discussion on that? I went back and forth on that myself.
I do. Did you happen to watch our last meeting when we were talking about this?
I didn't watch that.
Okay, so at our last meeting, we were thinking of we were brainstorming on trying to get the vote out. And, we talked about cost on this and cost on that. With the town growing and we're asking for people's participation, we thought the idea of maybe a semi-annual letter would go out to the voters, one in the fall when budget deliberations begin. You know, when they're starting to carve everything together and they have their workshops and the public gets notice, and they can also put whatever other information that they want. What direction the town is heading in, what's happening, what's gonna happen. Just as a newsletter to, you know, let's go. Oh, okay.
Go around to everyone.
To keep the people more informed. I think it'd be a small investment to do something like that. If you sent one out in the fall with the goings on about town and what's coming up, including budget discussion. And then in the late spring, when budget time comes along, and, you know, it will tell them the procedure that we're gonna propose, the dates and so forth, so we don't get the people that say, I never knew that there was gonna be a vote. I spoke with the council on Monday. And I explained to them that in the past, there have been letters that have been sent out. But it was never a requirement. So if a certain council didn't feel like sending something out,
They didn't.
for one reason or another, you know, if they didn't like the budget themselves, and this would force them to send a mailer out twice a year, you know, at cost. And this will be up to the voters. Now, if the voters aren't really want to be notified of how the town's going, and they can no longer say, gee, I didn't know about that. You know, it's up to them to say yes or no. They can say, yes, we'd like to do that. No, we don't. We also, you know, we can put it in there as a mandate by the charter that they shall do it. And the council could have the right to take it out, amend it, you know, make it to one. But I think trying to get the voters back involved, you know, with the community and get their help and their input. The more information we can get them, the more apt they're going to be to respond. So Jim put some verbiage together. I don't know if you put it in as semi-annual. I suggest it.
I did it targeted for the referendum by ballot. And for the budget hearing that would precede that, if it's triggered. But I forgot our conversation last week. To your point, if there's 2 newsletters a year, which is a great idea, we all thought it was a great idea. You know, the one before, if the budget hearing, that one in the spring that could include the budget hearing and, you know, the location, the details, a summary of, let's just say there's the final town council budget. What is it? You know, and where you can get more details, maybe a web link. And then the other one would be, these are the dates of the budget hearing and the referendum, and there's maybe 1, maybe 2 petitions that people did get the signatures and they were verified. That would be a newsletter 1 in the spring, and then another newsletter later in the year, which I think is a great idea. But I think that belongs somewhere else, and I should refer to the 1 in the thing that's very specific to the budget process.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So here's just an idea, and I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's really important
Mhm.
for more people to get involved, and that's always the excuses I didn't know. That's everybody's excuse. Even though it's the same vote that happens every year, year after year after year. But currently, the town is not paying or paying a nominal fee for Code Red, which is why we can only use it for emergency purposes. The difference between paying for Code Red for any purpose, and that is probably, I want to say, we got a quote of like $4,500. So the town could in turn pay $4,500 a year, and they could use the Code Red system to call for all these things at any time. So like a call could go out to the entire town saying, we have a budget vote next week. We use it all the time in West Warwick, and Richmond's used it too. So for the cost of only $4,000 to $5,000, you could have that versus $30,000 if you're talking 2 mailings.
Mhm.
That's only 2 mailings. With a Code Red, you'd have 365 days a year for any important. So I mean, I think
Yep.
working for a municipality, the thing I struggle with is anything that's financially mandating them to do something. I mean, I would be more inclined to think of something that's a little bit more general, like you need to notify the voters of said vote rather than saying it has to be a mailing, you know, like, I don't know, just a hypothetical thought.
One of the things that came up at the last
Last
town
meeting,
hall
yeah.
meeting, okay, was the fact that with the legal notice of the budget vote.
Yeah.
Okay, was posted in Kent County Times.
Yeah, which no one reads.
Nobody reads it.
Right.
Okay, you have a similar issue with the code red, is not everybody is on it. But if you did a mailing out and had that served
How
as
many
your
people
legal
take their junk
notice,
mail and just throw it though?
well.
Make it
If
look nice.
If it goes in the recycle bin as it comes in their door, that's their responsibility. Okay, the town has put out a legal notification that they can read and have that as a legal notification. I like the fact that for $4,500, you could use the code red system
Right,
for everything,
right.
because I think that would be
I mean, and that was a
valuable.
quote from a couple of years ago. I mean, Ben would have to call and find out what their quote would be now, but I'm just trying to think of money right now as we're really hurting and we just, the
Right.
council met on cutting what, $300,000 from our budget.
Right. And they also would check that. it-
30,000 is a lot.
And Bennett also mentioned that they had contacted Code Red on that, and there is no additional charge for putting out a Code Red announcement for the budget.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But
they
to
just
your
got-
Can I just
point-
ask to clarify this? I'm a little confused with this. Do we buy code red and we can use it so many times per year? Or is like someone actually like, let's say we actually had an emergency every day, are they gonna be like, well, if this was an emergency, or are they checking the messages? Or is
My
it,
understanding is that it has to be the subscription that Coventry has, it has to be for an emergency purpose. So like, that's why Ben was saying. A few months ago when we were talking about it, that he'd have to say like. Make sure you shovel your sidewalks or whatever, and then the impending storm, but come out and vote, or, like, that's why it has to be for an emergency.
or you
situation.
can have a premium subscription, I guess, so to speak, where you can
Correct.
send out,
It's
You
a
do whatever
different-
this is what's going on at the gazebo today, and there's what's at, whatever.
But to
I
your
would hope that
point,
would be-
people could choose not to listen.
Well,
to
that'll
that,
get people
just like
off
they
the
could choose to
system
throw
pretty
out a
quickly,
mailer.
right?
It's really, at that point, you've done your due diligence, and you've made the call, whether they choose to ignore it, not listen to it. I mean, it leaves a voicemail if you don't answer. Then that's on the voter.
If we rely solely on the code red, though. Somebody gets a new phone number or changes a phone or whatnot, then they're off the list.
Right.
Addresses never change. Right,
Well,
And I like the
They
idea
do.
of the mailer.
They do.
because-
they do too.
But that's another
But
thing,
not
you
as
could
much as
ask
the phone.
the canvassers to put an insert
Sure.
with each new voter that comes in. This is our, typical dates, or, look for our budget vote May of every year or something. I don't know.
I still think the
There's lots of
mailer is the best way to reach people, because if nothing else, people have to look at it to see, is it something to put directly in the trash? So if nothing else, they at least saw that they got something,
Has to
maybe
go
they didn't
for
read it,
their eyes.
they
but
have to handle
I
it.
gotta pick it up and look. Town, but I don't care about that, okay, but at least they looked at it.
Nobody.
If you
answers
put
the
it
phone
in
if
the-
they don't know
yeah.
the number,
Yeah.
and then how many voicemail boxes are full now?
Right.
You can't even leave messages. I like the idea of at least an annual mailing or something, because
Even
it's,
if it's just a postcard,
You
like,
have
I
to
know
have
it's
it.
at a cost, but
even if it's a postcard that gives brief information, to steer them back to the website where they can get more information.
Yeah.
But
something.
I like the idea of putting something. in the
Well, the
window.
council could either approve or disapprove of
That's
it,
it.
but,
It's up to the council.
when I did speak with them the other night, I mentioned that, in the past that there were times that it's going out, and there are times that they haven't gone out. I don't know the reasons why. It could have been purposeful,
Mhm.
but I do think that it should be in the charter that they have to do it, because, at some future point in time, somebody may say, well, I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah.
And that could happen. And maybe it did happen, or I forgot to do it. But you're not gonna have that when it's written in the charter, because whoever the solicitor is gonna do, is to remind them that, it's that time of the year. I do believe in sending them out twice. I think we should write it that way. If the council would like to change something in it, they have that opportunity.
They could make it once a year.
Because it's
They could.
it's in their best interest to get something to the voters.
I
You know,
agree.
and on 114, or maybe in a year or two, $125 million budget, $50,000 or $60,000 is not a lot of money. Especially when you're trying to get, the people's confidence and get them to participate and help the town move forward.
And I think, I'm sorry,
Go
I
ahead.
think on years that we are financially in a position to do that, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I personally struggle with mandating it for the years that we're not gonna be in a good financial situation, because those years are coming here. I mean, we're not, it's,
It's up to the people, right?
right, it's up to the people.
Can I just, to Jim's point, the two notices, I know one is clearly for the budget vote. What's the other one for?
But
Is it
it
just a
can,
general town
but it
update?
can include other
I
things.
would say it would be an update and it would let people know that budget season is beginning with the town council. Usually around December. Okay, so, you know, if you send something out in the fall, what are the fall things that are happening in Coventry? What events are going on?
See, that's the
let's-
one I don't feel good about mandating,
Yeah,
I don't
because
know
that one,
belongs in the budget section.
yeah, that one,
Where I was going.
the language you sent today, which says basically, if there's going to be a referendum, you have to send out a mailer, like, I'm all for that one. Or if we just kept the current procedure and said, before any budget referendum, you need to send a mailer out, that I can go for, but adding a cost for just informational purposes only, like before, like at the beginning of the budget process, that I don't think is necessary. It's a good idea to try to get people involved, try to get, you know, you don't want to get to the last day when people then find out about it. I agree with that, but I think that might be a little bit too much.
but it leaves the option for the council to take it out. Because they may think it's a better idea than we do. So they might, you know, it's in their interest, you know, they want information back. They want people to know what's going on. You know, my councilwoman sends things out all the time, you know, on Facebook and stuff. I love it because, you know, she recognizes things and notifies people, even though it's through social media, things that are coming up. And good things that are happening.
Yeah.
It's just good communication skills, so.
That's a good point too. I see what you mean, because then it's optional. If it has to be triggered to do that. But I'm leaning where Scott's going. I like the
We
idea. I like the idea that it would be a piece of paper, which we did get once. We talked about it before.
Yeah.
Years ago when they did do it. You know, it would be on like Coventry, like envelope, and we get our bills and stuff. We certainly don't throw
It's
those out.
something when you pick it up,
So
you
if it
should
looks-
be able to.
If it
realize.
looks official enough, you will open it up.
Yeah.
Right. So I kind of like going for it.
Okay.
I mean,
I
we
would-
should vote on that. I mean,
I
that's a really big deal, I
Yeah,
think.
I think the council would be very receptive.
Because if to me, again, I think if we want to propose these two newsletters, which is much more than just, hey, a budget referendum has occurred. 'Cause I think we want to make sure we tie it in somehow, because I would reference that section. But those two communications to me belong somewhere else. They're not just budget. It's an opportunity to review the calendar of events with the town. You know, one would certainly highlight if it in fact was triggered, it may not be. You know, a petition has been triggered referendum that will be, please be aware, because that one goes out in the spring.
I just want to, say that there's
really two
nothing
options here, then.
preventing the council from doing that right now.
Yeah.
I mean, they could.
Well,
They could.
they could, but will they? You know,
It's gonna be
this,
difficult.
this is
Up
for,
to
this
them.
is for the voters, right? The voters are deciding what the government document's gonna be and what they would like.
Like the idea of using the digital signs, which everybody I've talked to said we should absolutely do that. I was talking with the Board of Canvassers yesterday. Great idea. That's a hard one you will use a digital, sign. It's kind of hard
Yeah.
to put in there.
That can be done by ordinance.
Yeah, ordinance. And I think that's what you've always brought up to the table too, is
Yeah,
how detailed can we get here? Notify the public about, if you have enough detail in there, ipso facto, it has to be a letter, if it's enough information, which I think is important. The summary of the town budget, a summary of petition 1, a summary of petition 2, the dates and locations should be in that letter. Cause that's like, oh, wow, okay, I get what's going on here. Not just that it's just happening, go find out about it. It's an opportunity to give you a little sense of what's going on,
Yeah, so
in
really,
my opinion.
it's really talking about two different things. One is a notification for the budget referendums, which I think belongs in the charter with that. And then a general notification that the town would be putting up that could serve as the legal notification for the budget referendums. But would be separate from that.
I think we're trying to tie things together in one
Yeah,
mail,
right.
because of cost issues.
But that's where twice a year would fit in with one, whereas the budget referendum hopefully only comes up once a year. And would be within, it would be mandated to go out into that newsletter.
Yeah, because I would not push the spring newsletter out without knowing that the referendum was triggered.
Well.
You'd want to wait.
Well,
for
the
that.
spring thing would go out to let people know that the budget procedure is now starting. So you're asking them to come and participate. So you work from December all on until budget time. So they work probably 4 to 5 months. Pretty hard.
December is, the process has begun, and these are the
Yeah.
dates, and potential referendum
Right.
date. It probably would be in that calendar.
Yeah.
But the spring one, I would wait. If it actually gets triggered, you can add town council approve the final budget. It's A, B, and C. Petition 1, petition 2, dates and locations. It means really, you can just tie it together.
The council could also, rather than putting it in the charter and mandating, the council could also do it next year.
Mhm.
Without it being mandated, see if the response changes, the turnout changes, and then if they decide that it does make a difference, indeed, then it's worth spending the $30,000 on the mailings.
I just thought it'd be a good idea to say you have to do it because I don't want someone to just have the option to say, I don't feel like.
We have to remember, if we can separate it as a ballot question,
Yeah,
take it out of here, the public will decide.
right.
Not us, not the town council, they would
Yeah.
decide.
Okay,
Yes, that's a great
we
idea.
could probably work,
Make them aware of the cost.
even with the council. They could amend it to the
How's that
language
sound?
that,
Right.
that they feel is comfortable for them and how the voters feel. If it needs to be an addendum to it, so be it.
It's funny to your point, I get caught up in it like it's gonna be done, but I'm remembering, no, we're just trying to prove a question to see if we want to do it.
Right,
So-
right.
So it seems, if we agree, those two, let's call them newsletters. One should be able to tie in notification of the budget referendum is happening. Knocking around the table. And it's in a separate section, but the budget, it would be referred to in the section I'm working on.
Mhm.
And I'd be willing to do
Yeah,
that as
yeah.
well as a separate thing, find out the right place to put it.
Okay.
Work with Ray, does that make sense?
Yeah,
I think you raised the key point. The taxpayers are gonna vote on this,
Yes,
right? They're the ones that are gonna pay.
they need to be aware of the
Well, if
cost.
the council. wants to send it to the-
Yeah.
They may not, if they approve it, I keep forgetting of it, I'm always getting ahead of myself.
We're like 3 steps.
Sarah, thank you so much.
All the money is.
All right.
before you go,
Yeah.
the other item on this.
Yeah, I've got a couple more.
is early voting for referendum. I don't know.
I've got a ton of information to continue on.
Okay, but I just wanted Sarah to know that's a possibility that we're looking at,
Yep,
so.
which I think is great, whatever we can add.
Early,
Yeah,
early voting is no problem, no stress, that's easy to do. I talked to Camp Board of Canvassers yesterday.
yeah,
Perfect.
nope, and I think any opportunity to expand the voting window is great. I get calls for that all the time with our budget referendum, I'm gonna be out of town. Sorry, we have no provisions for that, no mail ballots, no emergency voting.
Yeah.
For budgets at this point, because they're not Title 17 elections.
And that's what we're trying to do, that's the next thing.
Right,
We want to do that. And I'm gonna walk through the details, but you probably already know this, you need a 30-day window cycle for mailing, you need time.
yes, you do.
Our budget, our illustrative budget needs to find 2 more weeks to make that happen, basically.
Correct. But even if we didn't do the mail ballot part of it, if we just did the emergency voting, let's say for a week before.
Early voting.
Early voting. Yeah, so it's still technically,
Yeah, I have a real
I think that.
hard time without mail-in voting, because you are excluding a bunch of people. Nursing homes, veterans, people on business trips,
Mhm.
they can't make, and we're gonna have like a 5-day, we're gonna have like a 5-day business day
Right,
early voting window, which is right now we seem to be able to fit in. So you really are excluding people who are blind, handicapped, nursing home. I saw the list in that Rhode Island
right,
Secretary of State because they accommodate them in the general elections.
correct.
We're excluding those folks, and it bothers the hell out of me that we're
Right.
just literally, they can't vote on this.
Yeah.
They cannot vote on this. So we're gonna talk about it a little bit more,
Yeah,
but
no, that's
it's,
fine. I'm
it's a
glad
time
that
crunch. It's a time
It
crunch.
is a time crunch.
Keep watching your email,
You need-
all right?
And a cost.
Over the next 2 days,
All right, so we are meeting with the council on Monday.
that is the plan. And just keep your eyes peeled, kind of emails from, between now and then.
I'm sorry that I have to leave, guys,
Okay.
but I gotta be a mom first.
Thank you very much. Hope you win.
Thanks.
I just wanted to make sure that Sarah knew those.
Yeah, these are right in your wheelhouse.
I know. And I love talking about it.
I'll send you
so
more
you're-
info.
If there was any,
So you gotta go be
Take
a
this-
sports mom
Take this
now.
take this with you. There you go. I'm gonna talk to this.
I appreciate your extensive research on.
Oh, I got an education
With all my
yesterday.
colleagues.
I
Should have
talked
just
to-
had you come to our conference last week. You're gonna take that.
I should. Oh, my God. I thought I was retired. Happened to that.
I got it.
You got more.
Second topic, time, and we were just touching on that. Talked to Lori extensively. We talked for like an hour yesterday, but all the ins and outs. But bottom line is, to early voting, that's not a problem.
Right.
Again, they've got to create the ballots. It takes 7 to 10 days to create the ballot, review it, get it ready for the printers, all the stuff they have to do. So early voting, it fits in the window. I was gonna share this with you guys too. I know we have a lot of things to talk about. I'll go as quickly as I can. I'll be referring to this a little bit. Yeah. One for Ray. You going? Okay. And there you go. So what I did is I was looking at these last few dates that we had on our illustrative timeline. You can see it on the left-hand side. I just kind of peeled it out of what Brad was working on. And you can see down below, Monday, June 17th, 2022 ballots are created. It's in blue if we can kind of do it. Then if we really want early voting to be 5 days before the 23rd, you almost have to start the same day the ballots are created, which gets a little tight. We probably still need a few days in there. Then if we get into the mail-in, which you said you need like a 30-day cycle for that, because there's bottom line, if you keep in mind, the ballots still need 7 to 10 days to be created. They trigger when mail-in ballots application can be requested. It's 7 to 14 days to review and mail out those applications for requests. Then they come back in. Then the Board of Canvassers check signatures on the request for a ballot. Okay. And once that's approved, then they get a ballot, and then they've got to have them in. And you'll see you have to have them in and in the possession of the Board of Elections, not Board of Canvassers, Thursday, June 23rd in our example here. Or you can drop them in a Dropbox if you feel like your mail's going to be a little late, or you could drop them off the polling location somehow.
Does the
As
Board of
well.
Elections print the ballot?
Yes.
Okay.
And I guess there's a vendor that does that work
Okay.
for us and always has done that work for us.
Okay.
They always print out an X number of ballots based on history, and they crank out more as they need them. Apparently, so it's quite a process, and it's a cost. That's why they don't want to print out them.
They don't want to
Bazillion
print
of
out
them.
one, they don't want to print out one for every voter.
35 cents every ballot, 35 cents, 35 cents, 35 cents, 35 cents. That makes a lot of sense to me. So the bottom line with mail-in, which I'm a huge, strong advocate of, is we're dealing with time. I've looked at, I looked at the whole budget cycle. I've seen other towns bring it in earlier to get a couple of weeks. I feel like that's very doable.
Mhm.
So my preference is to keep that in, understanding it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Okay. But, at the end of the day, my sense is with the budget referendum by ballot, it's, tens, maybe hundreds at most, probably tens of ballots we're gonna get, but it's in being inclusive. I'm surprised we don't do it, to be honest with you, because you're literally excluding people. I don't know how many, but we
Well,
probably have a sense of that.
Well, early voting would be walk-in.
Yeah.
of course, into the Board of Canvassers.
Right.
And in my opinion, with this building being, the main hub of the community, I think the Board of Canvassers belongs in this building, not across the street.
Because they used to be, as I
It used
understand.
to be
Yeah.
here, but I just think from a government perspective and when people want to have something done, anything to do with elections, it should be within the walls of the
Yeah,
building.
no, I agree.
It's just that it just makes more sense because, well, you have to go to the building across the street from the place that runs the town. You know what I'm saying?
This is also a better place, since I've been there a few times now, to get somebody to have, right to your point, have two people there all the time, as well as more people here.
Sure.
Yeah, so anyhow, I'd like to keep it in. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree. We could keep it in, and
We
the
can keep
council
it in
could
and
decide
let
not
them,
to.
let the council.
They know the complexity of it, I'm
Yeah.
sure. It really is. You talked about it last meeting. It's not simple at all.
I personally would be in favor of it. Okay. The logistics of it, I don't see happening in the time that we have left to and put that in. But the early voting, I think, is a win. I mean, for 7 years, I was unable to vote on a budget because I was out of town.
Yeah.
Right.
And, you know.
And I
was
know at
home-
least 1 year I was away for it, and I'm like, oh, can I do it? No, so.
And some of these are very close. A referendum in South Kingstown was decided by $1 million school budget, $1 million decrease in
It's
the
like
municipal
90.
budget, 46 votes. That's
So
all.
if nothing else, this is a step in the right direction.
I was going to include it in the language.
Okay.
I have it included right now. But the schedule's got to work. They gotta make the schedule work to accommodate that.
Okay.
Cause it almost makes it like. I almost want to say that the town council has to make their final budget by the end of April. To give 2 weeks to petition and then a month to go from there. That's like,
It's difficult. I understand.
and to get it done by the end of June. That's almost a 2-month process in
But I
itself.
remember reviewing the budget timeline with you, and there's like big gaps in December and is when they start the process. I
Yeah,
mean,
the only
people trying
thing
to
in December is like setting the schedule.
Yeah.
Uh,
There were
maybe
gaps.
some-
Holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and every other holiday that has been thrown into the winter solstice
Cool.
time period. I mean, you're not gonna get a lot done.
Yeah.
Nobody plans on getting a lot done in that period of time.
I don't even think of them starting until like January. It's always been like, wait till we get to January after all the holidays and like, all right, now we'll start that.
I'm willing to go with the group. I mean, what does everybody think? I mean, I'm in favor of it. I would say, make it work, figure it out. you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's their timeline.
Yeah.
It's their process, you know.
We asked them the question, give them as much information as we can, their
Yeah.
decision to send it, and if the voters say do it. They have to find a way to do it.
So can I ask a question? This latest version notwithstanding, I know Jim wants to talk to me about. a couple of
Yeah,
things that he
it needs
thinks, but,
fine tuned for sure.
um,
Ted took a
this
look at
is-
it.
What I'm trying to get a sense of, and I'm gonna ask everybody, as we go through this. Is this the one that's going to? In substance, go forward on Monday?
That's the
Couple
intent.
of tweaks, so maybe. we'll
That's the
do 3
intent.
days.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
And I think the two things that are very super sensitive, I think it's the mail-in voting. And I think now I'm gonna work on the notification, the communication plan, this newsletter thing that we talked about. So I'm gonna work with you, write it to refer to it, but have a section that talks about these two newsletters.
Just. My opinion.
Mhm.
If it has to do with the budget and it's a notice about the budget in some way, it's good. If it's not. Solely for that,
It's
it
not.
doesn't belong in the budget section.
Okay,
That's just my sense.
okay. And we could do that too, I think. I mean, we could do that as well.
Cause didn't your proposal for today has, if there's a budget referendum, there's gonna be a notice sent out.
Correct.
That's in your current draft, right?
Yeah, it was dedicated to the budget. It was not referring to the newsletter idea.
That's just, and that's, so basically. Only if we have a petition, referendum petition.
Right.
Are we saying a notice will go out?
Right, and I put some details of what would be in
Right,
that
but-
as well. It would be like a letter.
You can mandate one notice or as many as the town council deems necessary to make sure that the electors are notified.
Okay.
And it leaves it open-ended, I know, but
Yeah.
it mandates one.
Something like at least one notice about
Yeah,
the
no less
budget
than
during the
one.
budget process.
No less than one.
Yeah, no less than one.
Or as many as they deem necessary to notify the electors of.
Again, when I wrote in the language, and I'll share that with everybody as well, maybe work on it, we can share
Yeah.
it, is it was intended to. It's been triggered.
There's a vote.
It is happening,
Yeah, right.
You need to do, we want you to do something.
and this is what it is, the town council, final budget, petition A, petition B would be in that notice.
Cause all the other ones are nice to know, hey, the first public hearing is this day, they're going
calendar.
over this thing. That's more of an informational thing, but when there's like, hey, a vote's happening. We want you to know about it and we hope you will come and participate in it. Like, those are the ones I really want to feel we want to get, to go as all out as possible on. And try to get as much,
There's no reason not to still do two newsletters in another section.
Mhm.
And there's no reason to be economical
right?
to, in that envelope, budget other stuff.
Oh, yeah,
And we don't, why do that extra third mailing?
yeah,
We
exactly.
don't want to do that.
Right.
But I think to your point, let's keep that separated.
Yeah.
It might be the first page, here's your update on the calendar for the rest of the other things in the government going on. But maybe that's in the same thing. You know, as long, you know what, as long as we have those two, we have that one as written right now.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
You,
Okay, I got one last thing. I talked to Ben about this as well. This was about, and Lori as well, about signatures. Yeah, Ben gave me some, so. Real
this
question.
is the 20 or 50.
The
type
20
of-
or 50 thing, Ben's point was, I emailed it back, this is from Ben. Not sure the rationale of having a minimum number of petitions for requested changes to the budget when the town council has the discretion to not agree to them. How would this be different than a single taxpayer requesting a change to the budget during the public hearings? In my response, which I wish I printed out, but basically, when we talked about this in our subcommittee, yeah, if you're great at stepping up in front of a microphone and you're attending the public hearing and you're suggesting something that they may take under advisement, great. But we also talked about, there's a lot of people that aren't gonna make it there. They're gonna watch a YouTube video, they have something, they wanna build a dog park somewhere, or they have some other idea for the town. They could get a group of 20 people to support that idea and write it up and submit it after the public hearings. And I think that's more people you're going to embrace, and I'm going to walk up to the microphone and ask you for something to add or change in the budget during a public hearing.
Mhm.
So he's thinking the public hearing handles it. I'm thinking this is a better process. I also mentioned it's what we've seen in other towns too as well. They formalized it. It's documented. The council has to reply to it.
That's
in a
more,
formal
I think
manner.
the small petitions. You get
I think it's a
20
good thing.
people, are we still at 20?
20.
Okay.
I'm at 20.
You have 20 voters who agree, we want you to basically respond to us, because I can go to the microphone and say, I would like you to put $5,000 for X. And you can say, thank you for the odd opinion, and I can go sit down and then you can just move on. This at least puts in front, we have a petition to add 5,000 for X, and now you have to take a vote on it.
Yeah.
Say yes, say no, fine, whatever it is, but
And why?
you can't basically just thank you and move on.
Agree.
Mhm.
So it's going to maintain the 36 and 20 signatures, or
I think 20 is enough. I
because
mean,
you brought up the
we've
point
gone-
that it's only to open discussion, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it is not requiring anything more than you have to
Discuss.
discuss and make a decision on it.
So Ben didn't get any response, I guess, from
no,
whichever council
no.
person that had that concern.
No, I guess it was just, I think apparently I only got, I mentioned where it came from. I only got his opinion
Okay.
on that.
All right,
And just
so-
email. And then the last thing is, with Lori, I said, you know, again, timeline, reviewing signatures, and it was really interesting how she does that. I goes, Lori, worst case scenario, we have 2 more petitions from what I've seen across a lot of towns. Say there's the town council, 2 petitions, 500 signatures plus 500 more unique signatures. You've got 1,000 signatures to review. She said she does a lot of it herself. She goes, it'll take me 5 to 10 days to do that. Again, impact on the timeline. She said, if I could get some help, I could cut the time down significantly.
Usually the Board of Canvassers
Maybe they
will
pitch
come
in,
in and help her out.
they pitch
So,
in to do it.
You know,
That's when we say, hey, we think we have 500 signatures.
And
Okay.
usually around election time, there's always someone else in there,
Okay,
assistant for her anyway.
again,
That was, yes,
solve
like,
it, solve it, you know.
the end of June, whenever you have to file your election papers, they're expecting them, so
Yeah, they're
they're
expecting
probably,
a lot of signatures, so.
It was just helpful from a timeline perspective, the work she has to do to get that done. And it was in the Secretary of State's website too. They have a database with your signatures, compare and contrast those signatures. That's how it's done. I thought that was kind of interesting too. I didn't know that.
One of the interesting things on the 20 signature portion of it, the small petitions, not the large one, is that it adds a certain weight to what's being brought.
Yeah.
And a person isn't limited to 20 signatures. If somebody goes out and collects 100 signatures,
It means something, doesn't it?
one would think, that would have an impact on it.
Perfect. Great minds think alike. This is a continuation of Ben's comment. Of course, if 20 people were organized to make such a request, that would carry more weight. There you go.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay. That's it.
Filling vacancies. Okay.
so I haven't heard any feedback, positive, negative, otherwise, so. the Last version, which was approved by you guys about a month ago, the only thing, and I actually made I'm open to if council wants to put everything forward with the change of time to fill a vacancy. The draft I had done had 30 days. If they said, if we change it to 60, I would be okay with that. I would still like there to be a time frame for when it could be done, but I'd leave it as it is right now and say we go forward with it. Perfect.
And
That's all for clarification. That's the version that was circulated on the 23rd of last month.
That sounds about right.
Okay.
I printed out a copy.
Okay. You could.
I'll email you the
That's
latest.
the
Yeah.
last best.
Yep.
Just so that-
Okay,
Thank you.
Bob, amendment of charter.
Okay,
Well,
I do have some things that I would like to bring to a vote tonight, if we possibly can. I emailed Ben earlier this week and requesting any feedback that he might have gotten from the council, and there has been none. Okay, I did get a copy of the polling survey that we were doing. There was not a huge response concerning any of these. One that kind of puzzles me is the town or in favor of having the town council appointing a special charter. There was a good response on that, 68.4%, but out of 19 responses. If it should be appointed on a regular intervals, how should this occur, 10/20 or not? It just, the numbers just didn't seem to work. In that the first one is, should it be on an as needed basis or schedule? And the second one is, what would those intervals be if it was scheduled? And the answers just don't really jive. With that said, just because I'm in personal favor of the extended interval of 25 years. Okay, I would like to get a vote for the time frame that we put in here from the commission, either 10, 15, or 25, and put that into the final document.
Okay, so the other thing that we might have to include in there is, when do we do the first one?
Thought it was within,
That I think we have included in the document itself. I thought we had that in there.
commencing in 2023.
Right.
Okay, so then,
Yeah.
in 2023, there'll be one put together
Mhm.
and it will give its report in,
Well, no less than
24.
1 year, no more than 2 years. What did I say? More than
18
18
months.
months. 18 months with potential for an extension.
okay, so there'll be one that comes up.
Mhm.
Too sweet, and then the next one will be 25 years. Is that like the kind of motion you want to make?
That is what I would put in, what I would like the commission to decide, because we had disagreements on the time. And there are disagreements on the time frame in here, but not enough to show any kind of real statistical trend at all. So I'd like to take a vote on what everybody thinks should be the best. And go with the majority on it.
I kind of like the idea it's 25 or being a little bit longer, because we have the other commissions in the meantime, right? So if we have it too frequently, it kind of undermines the.
I like the 20, I think this one should be 25. I like
Yeah.
that.
I agree with.
Yeah, I'll go with 25.
Agreed.
Okay, so,
I'll go with 25.
gee, thanks.
I was thinking 22.
Scott?
Scott,
I like the 10 years.
Well, I think that there would still be an opportunity to have, you know, this one here is gonna be like comprehensive, so when I'm thinking about the 25, as technology changes, you know, things are gonna be addressed a whole lot differently, you know, for our grandchildren and their children. And that's, you know, the kind of like what we're writing this for, but it doesn't stop another charter review between it. So this is just comprehensive, like, I guess you could call it like a anniversary type thing. Because the one we have is 50 years old.
Right, to assure the alignment of the charter with current state regulations. We've compared this to a town charter to a constitution, but in reality, it's not, because there are overriding laws that are in place. It's more like a state constitution than it is a federal constitution.
Yeah.
Okay, and that the state can make decisions and enact laws that affect what we have in the charter
On more of a regular
on a
basis.
regular basis, yeah. Now, dealing with that, with the shorter term, regularly scheduled charter commissions, I think is fine, but I think after a while you can get drift. And it's good to periodically go through and make sure that everything is aligned.
Right.
And if it's done properly, there shouldn't need to be that many changes.
Right.
You know, but I think it's important to do that. So that's kind of why I think there needs to be an extended interval. Because you need time for things to percolate around and change.
Scott, you want to share with us the reasons why you think 10 is better, or was it better explained by Bob just then?
It was better explained by Bob right there, so.
Okay. Oh, hang on. Jim?
Yeah, because I think to your point, I was thinking 10 too, by the way, Scott, initially. But when you read what's already there, it's every 5th year thereafter, so those are still happening.
Yes.
So there's still updates going on. We want to do a comprehensive, if you look at what
So
we
they
laid
do,
out.
they do,
Yeah,
by the charter, they do still have to do one every 5 years.
Right.
Yes, there's no
Yep.
change in that
I
language.
just wanted to check.
Or
But it's
more,
not.
or more.
Or more
Or
often,
often, yeah.
if needed. So,
So if we do, it's no less than 25 years. So if they do feel they need a comprehensive one more often, they can. We can leave that open.
They can do it. I mean,
We could, well, it's not written that way, but we could certainly put that language in.
Just no
like
less than
or as
25
needed
years.
type of thing, just to catch all.
so do you want to make?
Oh,
your
wait a
motion?
minute, wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
Not no less,
I'm sorry.
no, no more than
no more
25 years.
Yes. that's
Yeah.
Right now, it says no later than every 25 years.
There you go.
So.
Yeah, all right, yeah. That's
Okay,
what
So
I
so-
that's,
yeah.
what- yeah.
So do you want to, our entertainment, or do you want the motion, or do you want me to?
Okay, I think we need to vote on the 25 years.
Okay,
Okay, because that was up in the air and we got no outside feedback from that.
so I will entertain a motion that the comprehensive charter review following the initial one in 2023 shall be, think of the words for this here.
Shall we convene no
Shall,
later?
shall
Than
shall
every-
convene no later than the 25-year mark. And we can always, pretty up the language.
Mhm.
Would anybody like to make that motion?
I'll make the
I
motion.
entertained it, so you're making it?
Yes.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Right.
Okay,
I,
thank you, Scott.
Okay, so following that, clears up the language discrepancy of that part of it. What I handed out is the final draft that I have here of the pros and cons rationale behind it. And the general question, none of which of course are engraved in stone. Those are it's not necessarily the ballot question, it's what we're asking here. And the language associated with this additional section of 1520. Okay, this is all new language. And concerns strictly the Special Charter Review Commission. So if there's no objections, I would like to put that forward for a vote as well,
Okay, so your motion is to
adopt the proposed additional language for section 15, which is Comprehensive Charter Review Commission upon voter approval.
there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No?
You just read your motion to me again. Sorry.
Oh, you had to do that to me.
Sorry. I was just finishing up the other.
I do have a mind like a stainless steel colander, it's strong, but it doesn't stay in there. Nothing stays in it.
Sorry.
Yeah, remember that one. That's pretty good.
Okay. The motion is to adopt the additional language to section 15.2 of the town charter to appoint a special charter review commission for a full charter update. No later than every 25 years,
Starting in 2023.
starting in 2023.
Thank you.
Okay, so we already voted, yes?
That's.
No.
No, that was
We haven't voted
discussion.
yet.
Just
Motion,
point
second.
of clarification. 15.20.
What did I say?
two,
Two.
it's 20.
Oh, it's 15.20, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that probably should be the applicable section. 15.2, right? You're adding a section in
This is
15.2,
the,
Yeah, it
This
should be
references the-
15.2,
Where it says-
15.20.
where it says full charter here.
I mean, we can put it that way. The intent is the fact that this is a full charter.
If
review.
there are any corrections that need to be made, they
We
will
can
be
make them.
corrected. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye,
You opposed or aye?
So he
no,
said-
aye.
Okay, because you said aye after I said opposed, so I just wanted to double check.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks, Cal.
Timing.
Okay, second part of 1520. Qualification to the Charter Review Commission. Okay, this is the discussion that we talked about. It's who's eligible.
Yeah.
And whether or not questions from the Charter Review Commission need to go in front of the town council prior to being placed on the ballot, or need to be approved by the town council prior to being placed on the ballot. Okay, the language is marked up for the changes. In the piece that you have, the pros and cons documents. I broke into two sections because they really do concern two different things. One is the eligibility of members. And the second is whether or not the town council needs to approve them for them to go on the ballot.
Okay, so this is the one that says that both recommendations from the charter review and anything that the town council wants to put on shall be put on the ballot.
Correct. So the first one deals with who's qualified to serve on the Charter Review Commission. This contains the language of not limiting the number of terms that someone can serve on a Charter Review Commission, provided that they are no more than 2 consecutive, and that the individual eligible can only not hold elected office within the town or a managerial position within the town. So your part-time librarian who's putting away books on the shelf is eligible for it if she lives within town, but the director of the library is not
Okay,
in that situation.
Is there a separate handout for me?
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
missing that.
sorry.
I'm missing that one too.
There were 2 of them that were coming around,
Yeah, those
Yeah,
are the first ones that we talked
Okay.
about.
and I handed 2 of them around. Did they
This
get
was
stopped there?
1528, and the other one was 1520B.
Yeah, one said full charter and the other one said 1520.
yeah. Yeah, this
They should say 1520 on it. No, I don't think that's it.
appointment of special charter.
It's this one.
I know I made 10 copies.
It's this one, right?
Do you have a copy?
I
We
do
can
not.
share. We
I
can
do
share.
not.
We can share.
Right?
I do
we can
not
share.
anymore.
It says 1520. Yep, that's the one.
I do not anymore.
Oh, you need your own. copy. You need a copy. We can understand it. We got it. We'll figure, we got it.
Special.
We'll listen.
I handed them to her, I don't know.
Yeah, she took,
Okay, so the first one, the question is 2 parts, but I think it could be rolled into one ballot question on it. Shall section 1520 be modified to allow individuals to serve on multiple charter review commissions, provided that no more than 2 consecutive terms are served? The second part is, shall section 1520 be modified to allow individuals to serve on the charter review commission if it should be they hold a current elected office or appointment outside of the town of Coventry, or who are employed by the town in a non-managerial position?
That's the one that Ben weighed in on, saying that, you know, it's, but there's like valuable people that work for the town that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that your motion?
That is my
Is
motion.
there a second,
seconded.
discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, so
Excellent.
Second portion of this. Okay, is. Shall section 1520 be modified to allow placement of all recommendations of the Charter Review Commission to be placed? Again, sorry. Spell correction, it's a wonderful thing. Placed before the electors for their consideration. This is the language that we added at the end of the first paragraph of 1520, which says questions on the ballot shall be noted. I'm sorry. Each recommendation of the committee shall be placed upon the ballot. Questions on the ballot will be notated as to whether it is a recommendation from the Charter Review Committee or the Town Council.
Okay, is that a motion?
I will make that a motion.
Second.
The motion made in second, any discussion?
This is,
This is so that whatever, if the charter review sends something to the council, it has to go on the ballot.
And then the notation is similar to what Westerly had.
So the council wants to do things, right? And the people and the charter review want to do things, so all questions go on the ballot. And all it does is notates who is doing that.
And in the event that there's a conflict, the town does not want something that the Charter Commission feels is necessary, they are more than able to put their own ballot question on. The charter reflects the fact that the one with the most votes wins.
Does that work for you, Jim? Or you haven't,
I have second thoughts on that one. This is a big, correct, big question, right?
yes, it is.
Historically, the town council reviews all our suggestions.
Mhm.
They vote us into the commission. And they have they have the wherewithal to not push something towards the ballot in the general election. And what we're saying is we want them to approve that it will go on the ballot in general election, but they could add something if they'd like to.
Well,
They
They
could,
already can add
they,
anything they want.
and they understood.
they already can, but what it does
Mhm.
is it allows the work of the commission to put something on the ballot with no interference. I guess that's probably the better way to put it, but the other underlying thing is, I think the last two times, I don't think anything was voted on.
Right.
Like the very last one, I think that they voted no, but then they reconvened the charter commission for a couple of meetings, and then they either amended or changed something, and I there had to be something that had to do with I believe it was public comment at council meetings, which is in the charter now, so they have to have it.
Let me ask a second question too. Can they amend or change things? They cannot. With this, it goes in.
They
They
can,
can't change our proposals
But they can make one of their own.
Cannot change.
affecting, so, okay,
So you need the
I'll just, to throw out an example,
solicitor review is what. I'm
let's
saying.
say, the
Exactly.
legal language, I would say is probably can be modified to the extent it doesn't change the intent of the committee, but I would leave that to Ray to answer that part. But the best way I can put it is, let's say we propose a change that the number of town councilors will be 7, okay? They could put forward same question to go to 9. Okay, that's basically it. They can't say change ours to go to 9 and have that be the only question. They can say 7, 9, or vote no on both of them and it doesn't change.
And if I'm a voter, I go there and I see two of the same things with two different.
You're gonna be
numbers,
scratching your head.
I'm gonna be scratching my head,
I think it would be competing would be the word.
competing.
So-
I would be
so the-
competing.
I mean, would I like it to be change A, change B, no change, but I don't know if it works that way.
I think that the spirit of this is that we don't spend 6 months with a lot of time, energy and, spirit behind what we research and what we want to move forward, just to be shut
Reject,
down, just to be rejected.
because that's, again, I said this just as a viewer, watching the previous commission make their presentation. And it just seemed like everything they presented, the town council, for whatever reason, did not agree with it and did not choose to move it forward. Because again, for whatever reason, and that's my thing, is like, we're spending 6 months of our time. We're not getting paid for this, okay? We're doing it because we volunteered.
Yeah.
And if at the end of it, they say, thank you for your time, we don't want to make any changes.
Thanks for the
That's,
fix.
that's,
But then they could write their own thing in.
at the same time, they can also say, great, thank you for your work, we're gonna do it our own way.
I don't think that's the
Yeah.
spirit of the way doing it too. I think it should be that's something that goes to them, they can change. But, it does say additions in there.
And we hopefully it's cooperative.
Well,
And I know sometimes it isn't in Tiverton. I could share a document with you. It's just
it's up to the people.
read about Tiverton's last charter commission. They wrote a 30-page document.
I
They
read
sent
it.
out. Yeah, they were upset
Oh, yeah.
They put in, I think I feel like they put in like bazillions of hours in
Yes,
that,
they
and it
did.
just got tossed.
Yeah.
And you were referring to Westerly? What's that reference?
Westerly had the notations on the ballot questions as to whether it was placed there by the town council or whether it was placed there by the charter commission.
Yeah, it says like town council recommended or.
Yeah,
charter commission recommended.
what proposed.
Not a bad idea, right?
So that's what this does.
It's a good idea.
So that straightens out your question?
It does.
And in the pros and cons, I did list some of the reasons why I think that this is appropriate. Okay, first one being that we have been sitting down here extensively in a public forum, soliciting public input and town council input. Okay. You know, we're not pulling these things out of the air. We're working on questions that were asked of us to look into, subjects that we were asked to look into. So there is a lot there that we've done.
If I, before we go any further on this, I hate to do this, but- so under section 3.14, powers and duties of the town council. Section A. Appoint committees of the town council which may investigate and report on any matter referred to it, make recommendation thereon. No committee shall have any executive or legislative powers, and final action on all matters shall be determined by the town council as a whole. And there's some other language that, I'm not saying you can't make this proposal, but that's going to impact that. Well,
But
I would expect that the town council's solicitor would bring that up, because 3.14 says all powers of the town shall be vested in the town council, which is a very broad, and it's meant to be that way, obviously. So there could be some contradiction. I'm not.
Well, I think that there's also a separation there. Where the charter commission is appointed to do the work of the people. All right, and they shouldn't have to, go looking around for other things in the charter. To try to undermine what's done under the amendment of charter, which is its own statute. In our charter.
I could be wrong too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could be wrong, but like, wouldn't that also, like, if we followed the same, if we applied that to other boards and commissions,
Good question, yeah.
like planning and zoning makes decisions all the time, the town council doesn't approve them. So that would just be my response to that. I could be wrong, but that's what my thinking is.
I think it's that separation.
Well,
Well, if
just so we're prepared for the.
You know, it's an important point to make here. All we're doing is putting a proposal to the people on a ballot. We're not making a decision on it like a planning commission.
Correct.
Right.
It's very, very different. In that respect. First, I was like, glad you asked that question. I was gonna ask the same one. If they could override everything on every commission, why are we any different?
there's an intent on what we're trying to do. So it's, if the solicitor wants to make work for himself to try to fight what the people are gonna vote on, that's up to him. But I think that, at the end of all of this, I would entertain a motion that, that the intent is there and that it can be revised. There's law revision in the State House. When they put a bill out and it passes and the governor signs it, it goes downstairs to law revision and they make sure that there's no like grammatical errors. Everything has to be in the spirit of the legislative intent. So,
I mean, we
I
want,
really don't think that it would fall into play. And for that, Ray, and if it was, it'd be spiteful. So,
because to your point, why would it separately be noted in the charter?
Yeah.
That the town council will have to approve by a majority of vote each item to be placed on the ballot.
If they didn't already have that.
You're right. And obviously, we still want a spirit of cooperation with the
Correct.
council. We've been
Correct.
getting feedback, at the end of the day, we want things that are gonna succeed and get on the
we're
ballot.
not trying to usurp the council at all.
Right.
Just trying to say that, half of you may agree, half of you may not agree, but it's up to the people if that's what we're here for. So. Further discussion, if not,
I think
All-
I'm ready for.
all in
me.
favor?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Any
Okay.
opposed? Scott?
No posing here.
Okay, got included in the eye?
Yeah.
So moved.
Could you send me that?
I can send you that. I'll do that as soon as I get home.
Yep, thank you.
Both these documents and you want me to correct the spelling or do you?
No, I'm gonna go through them anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then that stays for everybody. I'll go.
What we may end up having to have to do is to go to the council with some stuff that is finished and some stuff that may just need a little bit tweaking. So keep your eye on your emails over the weekend, so.
Because two things I brought up today that we did not vote on was communication plan, mail-in voting, and the idea of two newsletters.
Mhm.
Those are kind of new things. I'll work on that language. Is something we should vote on at another point in time, or,
Okay,
you know,
Even
I
if
don't want to, those are pretty important things
if it comes down to where,
that we just
where,
discussed.
where it's absolute that they're demanding something on Monday, we will meet Monday, we'll meet Monday,
Improve it, okay. Just
and we'll vote on it,
really,
so.
good idea, great idea. Okay. Got it.
Just as a side note, just because I'm now thinking of it, if we're all planning to be there Monday, do we have to note that it's our meeting too? Or if we're, I don't know how
If
many
we're gonna
are
vote, if we're gonna
I
vote on,
wanted to
if
be
we're gonna vote on something, you know, we can go into another room at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and vote on something.
Right, but that's point, if everybody's gonna be present and there's gonna be a quorum, then it should be a joint meeting.
Even just by sitting in the audience.
If everybody's gonna be presenting in some manner and presenting as a group, then
Yeah.
it is.
I'll speak with Ben about that. Maybe she can change her agenda to.
I mean, that's what they do with the school committee when
when they're both there.
seated as a group.
Yeah, she has till Friday to change her
Tomorrow.
agenda.
Tomorrow,
Plenty of time.
Thursday.
tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah, she has until Friday to change her agenda.
You know, let me
Can you
see,
change it after you post it? It has to be posted.
You can
tomorrow,
amend it.
right?
No, Friday.
2 days.
Oh,
We already
oh,
went
that's
through,
right,
we went
tomorrow,
through this
sorry,
with
yes,
us.
yeah, sorry. Yes,
let me suggest we get through the old business.
I'm sorry.
And as new business, we talk about Monday.
Yeah.
Because right away, they're not getting any advanced information on these things, which they said they wanted to have.
Well,
Okay,
we
so-
offered to send it and we offered that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't something they requested. We offered to send stuff to them and some stuff that we sent, we got no reply on.
Okay, we got some, I mean,
Yeah. We'll figure something out.
but I know we have more stuff to get through. Okay.
Anything further on that? No, if not, Article 3 fire department, like,
So really I presented last week, my suggestions, recommendations. The only thing I added, was, and I apologize, I don't have these printed out. I did this afternoon on my way here and didn't have access to a printer. Was adding in section 12.02 under functions, and I can send this to you later, right? Just that there should be a commission formed no later than January 31st of 2023, which shall oversee the transition of the current fire districts within the town of Coventry to the single municipal fire department. So just establishing that first step that the town would have to take. If this were to go to the ballot and then get approved in November, then the following January, they've got to establish the commission to start the process. Then the timeline within the fire department is established no later than July 1st of 2024, which gives them 18 solid months to do the work. I thought that was just a prudent first step to get the wheel in motion. And then two, just to kind of set the just set some clarity and reason on how to get it done.
so. This is the question that has, I think, 86%
Oh, yeah,
approval.
Yeah.
solid, very
But
solid.
there's still an imminent collapse of this central Coventry thing. So, you know, we had planned on doing the question anyways. This came about. And here we are. So this will be the question that goes to the voters if somehow that they can continue to run. I'm not sure how it's gonna work, but if the town gets involved, then 260 kicks in. So. And it's just so unfortunate that politics got entangled in public safety.
If I was on the town council, my preference would be to go this avenue. right, and then actually have 18 months to plan this out,
correct.
than to all of a sudden have to react overnight.
Right.
And fix a
So,
huge
so it
problem.
does set the date, the implementation date of.
Yeah.
of What, July 1st of 2024, is that what it is?
No later than, July 1st, 2024,
Okay,
and the commission would be established no later than January 31st, 2023.
okay. Is this something you want to vote on?
I'd like to vote on it.
And
Yeah.
if there's little tweaks and we can put, and we can put, so we'll vote on the fire thing and there'd be some tweaks maybe and some of the pros and cons. Did you hear what Mike was saying about establishing a commission no later than the 31st of January?
Yeah.
Any questions?
No.
Is there a motion passage?
I'll make the motion.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so voted. So as I said, you know, there might be some little itty bitty things. And maybe, you know, some of the pros and cons that need to be worked on, that's another step closer. Section 2, we move on to section 207, which is nonpartisan election. Okay,
The version I sent out through Ben today, basically in short, strikes out the second half of 2.01 and then all of 2.07, 2.08, and 2.09. Which basically removes all the language that was added in 2010 when they went to nonpartisan elections. So the article is to go back, basically just take out all the language that was put in.
was there anything in 201 that had to be addressed on that?
Yes,
Has it been addressed?
yes.
Okay. All right, so
Doesn't get simpler than that.
would you like to vote on that?
Sure.
I'll
If
entertain a motion.
there's nothing else.
I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion.
Motion
I'll
made by
second it.
Michael,
I'll second it.
seconded by Bob, all in favor, excuse me, any discussion? No discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 I heard you up there, Scott, so.
Okay.
And just for clarification, the one that you sent.
The one
today
that was
is,
sent today.
Last best.
That's the latest one. Should be, I think I'm up to version 5, but
That's what it said, yeah.
half of that was internally, but.
I gave you those other.
Yeah.
Things. But I was kind of doing a little research myself, so. You know, it just, you know, the pros and cons.
Yeah.
That's all,
Yeah, I can add that in.
all right, so.
You haven't done most of the initial work on that.
Perfect,
That was my Burbank.
section
Airbnb
two
one.
oh nine, which would be primary election. Ted?
That-
It was
that-
taken out with
That's
that.
all struck.
Okay,
The
so
other,
that
Yeah,
was taken
sorry, they're
out.
all,
That was taken out, ballot placement was taken out.
taken out.
Okay. Perfect. Section 102, form of government. Discussion action, so I have been doing some work on the form of government, changes in school committee, town council. Added some.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but.
So-
Did we, election law, there was no further discussion on that, right?
Election.
No, that was,
Yeah, so. So what I had drawn up was the form of government will change to a council mayor form of government. What it does is that, it keeps powers of the town council, as long as it's not inconsistent with, if the people decide, that they would like to have a mayor. So if you look at incorporation, it talks about, the town being, council mayor form of government. The council, we will enact the local legislation, and the mayor, who shall be the chief executive. He would be the person responsible for the administration of the town. What it does is you, and all that blue language that you see there, it says, beginning with the general election of 2024 and every 4 years thereafter. The mayor shall be elected for a term of 4 years. There shall also be elected at each general election for a term of 2 years, a council of 7 members, 1 from each district. This increases, it puts the mayor form of government in place and 7 council people. The term of the mayor will begin on the first Sunday after the first Saturday in January. Those are usually done on dates like that because of power, what do they call it? Change of transfer of power, so. It says that the most you can do is 2 4-year terms. Then you're ineligible, but you may, after a 4-year vacation, run again. It says the mayor shall be a legal resident of the town. It says 4 years next preceding his or her election. It just means that you have to be a resident of the town for 4 years to run for mayor. That could be changed to 2 years, but I think 4 years is better because, it would keep a local person, someone that's known in town and has at least, a 4-year history in the town. And it's the way it's designed is so that they're co-equal. So you have a legislative and you have an executive branch and they're co-equal so that they can work together instead of apart. You could have a strong mayor could muscle the council. You don't want to have that. You could have a weak mayor where the council could strong arm a weak mayor. So it has to be, forces them to work together on everything. And it's not dissimilar to what the town manager does now. But it does put the person, make that person accountable to the voter, where presently there is no accountability, from the administrative side, with the manager being who he is. That all rests with the council only. So I put compensation in there, but I did not know how to do it. I just said it could be prescribed by ordinance. There must be, I'm sure, the standard that the council could use. These are just preliminary. And in powers of the town, it originally said the town shall have all the powers granted to towns and homes. I added the town council shall have those powers. And also inside of there, you probably see that there is language in there that says, as long as it's not inconsistent with any other part of the charter. So the mayor section. Is that you, Scott?
Yeah, sorry, I
Yeah.
unmuted myself.
So that addresses the mayor section, which is below that. The chief executive is hereby invested in the mayor. Elected, the chief executive is the authority is hereby vested in the mayor. Elected as provided in section 102A, which is form of government. He shall actively supervise, direct, and control in accordance with the provisions of this charter, the activities of all administrative departments and agencies of the town, and he or she shall be responsible for their efficient and economical operation, for the enforcement of the laws of the state, the ordinances of the town, and the preservation of peace, health, and safety of its inhabitants. This is pretty similar to what the manager did, but it makes it closer to the voting public. Appointment and removal. I can go through it all, but it might be easier for you all to read. It just says the mayor, with the advice and consent of the council, shall have the power to appoint heads of all departments, so it keeps the council involved in everything. There is no power struggle there. The police and fire shall be classified service, and it is tied some way to section 1202 that Mike talked about. And that needs to be worked out. All employees of the mayor's office, except one confidential secretary or assistant, and all other heads of department shall be appointed to serve at the pleasure of the mayor, subject only to the appointee's possession or qualifications prescribed by this charter. There's protections in there. Any member of an unpaid board or committee or commission appointed by the mayor may be removed by the mayor for any reason. If we remember, Ben was talking about was it personnel and stuff, and he didn't know who
Who could
Well,
dismiss a
who
member
could
of the
dismiss
board?
somebody and this and that, so this is kind of like boilerplate language, a lot of it came from Cumberland. There is a process if someone is going to be suspended or removed, and there is a open meeting type thing, not dissimilar to any other city and town. Let me see, so it is a hearing. Blah, blah, blah. So, there was some part of this thing that says provisions relating to the administration of oaths and enforcement of the dependents of witnesses. This is all legal stuff, so I put a big question mark in there. I'm still working on that. That's probably something that the solicitor, our solicitor, and maybe their solicitor can add on to. It gives them the power of investigation, the same thing that the council has where investigate accusations and such. Let's see, general duties. It shall further be the duty of the mayor to prepare and submit to the council annually the operating budget appropriation ordinance, capital budget and capital improvement budget to set up and enforce an allotment system as provided in section such and such, which comes down to Jim's language on the budget. For the regulation of expenditures to keep the council informed as to the financial condition of the town. And as to other conditions requiring council action, and to file with the council annually complete reports of the administrative activities and financial transactions of the town. Said report shall be known as the state of the town message and shall be filed with the town council and the town clerk in April of every year. No municipal funds can be used to distribute this report or publish it in any manner unless authorized and appropriated by the council. So that basically says you can't use that as political for the most part. There's some flexibility in there. It shall be the duty of the mayor to carry on continuing studies of the operation of the town government as organized under this charter and to recommend to the council for its action under, I have question marks there. Measures assigning and reassigning functions and activities not specifically assigned by this charter as between departments, divisions, or other administrative units, creating, abolishing, or recreating divisions or other units below the departmental level, and creating or abolishing or recreating departments for the administration of functions and activities not definitely assigned to the departments by this charter. So it gives them some powers to rearrange things, how everything is working. I think that I should have put with council approval in on that. There's a few things in here that I put in, I should have added council approval. Because it gives, that one there has, like, it gives a little bit more power. A succession, if the mayor is unable to perform his duties because of illness or accident for a period of time of not more than 10 days by the director of department designated. Wait a minute, let me go back to this.
Yeah,
If the mayor is temporarily unable to perform the duties of the mayor's office because of illness, accident, or absence from the city, the mayor's duties may be performed for a period of not more than 10 days by the director of a department
at the mayor,
head, right? Designated in writing by the mayor with such limitation as the mayor may include in such designation. If he's going to be out a little bit longer, I don't have to read it all, or if his disability exceeds 10 days, the council president shall act in his or her absence. If the council president cannot, it would be the vice president. If the office of the mayor, I'm just trying to go through just the highlights of it. The office of the mayor becomes vacant for any cause. The duties of the office shall be assumed immediately by the president of the town council. If the vacancy occurs within 30 months after taking office, the president of the town council shall act as mayor only until the declaration of the result of the election is called to fill the vacancy. So if he's going to be out in a certain amount of time, I think I'm reading this right. And the vacancy is called, the council president acts So it's gonna be for a long, for a long duration. The president shall be entitled to a pro rata portion of the mayor's salary for such period in lieu of the president's salary. As president of the council, but the president shall remain president and member of the council. If during this period, the president of the council is unable to perform the duties, it shall be performed by the vice president. These are all just things in case the mayor gets sick. Vacancy, if it's less than 6 calendar months until or whatever the vacancy may be caused by. If less than 6 calendar months remain until the regular election, the office of mayor is declared vacant. The president of the town council shall act as mayor. And the president of the town council shall resign or be unable to act. So if the president of the town council shall resign or be unable to act, then the council shall elect by majority of its members, one of its members to serve as acting mayor. At the time between the occurrence of such vacancy and the next municipal election in 6 months or more, the town clerk shall call a special election. In the manner prescribed by state law to fill the vacancy of said mayor. So this is just an initial draft, and it's trying to keep everything co-equal. I'm not gonna vote on this tonight. I want you guys to look it over real good. Because there's a couple of things that need to be added.
I have a question.
Yes.
If the mayor is unable to, perform, he's going on vacation, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
He shall designate a department head to act as mayor. Why wouldn't it just go to the town council president instead?
It could.
But it doesn't, it says it has to be a department head. It doesn't say he can go to the town council.
Well,
president.
if he say he has a chief of staff or he has an assistant that is in the managerial or administrative part of the town, and he wanted to appoint that person to do it.
Okay, so that would be, a chief of staff would be considered a department head? Okay, that works.
But like,
I'm just looking
you
at
know,
the
there have been
language.
times in the past where it's been like the police chief
Yeah,
and things like that. There's always a succession, so. Any questions on succession, write them
I
down.
was just looking at it as, it looked like there had to be a department head, but if it's a chief of
Only, yeah,
staff,
but only for a certain amount of time. I
yeah,
think it was
10 days,
on
yeah,
that, so.
I understand that.
I'm not sure that the president of the town council or both the president of the town council and the mayor at the same time.
Well,
But if there's 6 months or more, he gets appointed as mayor.
Yeah.
To fill that spot anyway, that's why I asked.
so the time constraints in there, we have to look at real closely. So these are just things that I've been working on.
Yeah, just 2 points.
Yeah.
I guess that will, the mayor would then fall under the recall procedures as an elected official. I assume.
What I put in there.
Probably would,
Yeah.
it's another section, but probably, I think it says all elected officials, so I think it's already there.
Yeah.
In a sense,
Actually, I put it in there.
I think you could recall any elected officials, so.
I think it's in there that it reverts back to the recall procedure.
Yeah.
That's
Just needs a
already
reference, I
in the
think.
charter.
Yeah, and I know I'm a strong advocate of it, there's language that the mayor can hire people and whatnot, I just hope. Person who's elected mayor can be anybody,
Correct.
some people will have a great skill set, some people won't. That's up to the electors to do that, but I'm hoping they retain, I don't know if it's part of this language or not. Maybe it's up to whoever they hire and staff to be a chief administrative officer, somebody with strong public administrative budget skills, or hopefully, do we have a budget director currently in town? This is what my experience has been in other towns with mayors, they've had that, you kind of need that
Yeah.
as well, I mean.
They have
maybe-
a finance director right
We have a
now that
finance
works,
director.
that works with the manager, right? So
Maybe that I didn't know. I don't know what's with the staff, but that's important. You know, I was an experience in Alexandria, Virginia, had a mayor and a town manager as well, which was a good combination to have. But at the same time, I think we brought it up before, we can't keep adding positions, high salaried positions either. That's the conundrum that we're in. But as long as, yeah, the person, depending on who it is, has a strong staff, you really need that.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna, most people have to ramp up and learn a lot. I think as mayor,
Mhm.
you don't want to lose any continuity at all. You know, you take the budget done, you have to get rolling right away.
Yeah.
So that would be a concern.
So that
Hopefully
was,
that's
the-
allowed. I mean, you
that
got a
was
budget.
an initial draft of May.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It was just my thoughts.
I kind of, along the same thought process, I agree, like, we put a lot of trust in the taxpayers now, right, to elect the right person that hopefully has the skill set with some experience, or at least the ability. And now if it's an elected position, how attractive is it to run for that elected position, right, across the whole town? We talked about that before, with, like, at-large positions. So does that particular scenario, is that gonna be a detriment to attracting qualified candidates to run? Just kind of thinking out loud.
mhm.
That's a big ask. Not saying I'm against it, just thinking out loud.
We need to think about it, that's for sure.
Okay.
It's a big change. But I will say too, our towns, I was looking at the populations of the towns that put it in that matrix. You know, still relative to a lot of towns that have mayors, you know, we fit the bill.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we do.
We fit the bill,
Absolutely.
so for sure.
And a lot of people have asked me about it, so.
Yeah.
Then the other one you got, I did two others, one for town council, one for school committee. It. You can read it, you can read over it, it's initial draft. It changes the number of council people to 7. Which will be independent districts. It addresses the vacancy thing, which is Ted's language. I think that.
That looks like, yeah.
Oh, nice. Oh, good.
That's your language.
In there.
Okay, it,
Just to clarify, this is all still in the form of government.
yes, it's just form of government. And it continues down. The town council. Oh, yes, the town council shall be recognized as the head of town government, you know, for all ceremony purposes. I just added except as otherwise provided by the provisions of the charter, so if there's a mayor, then, you know, the mayor is recognized as that person. I have added salaries to each council person. I think that they should be paid well. I've increased, I've changed, you know, some of the language, I've increased the salary of each council person to $8,000. Remember, this is gonna, if this moves ahead, it's gonna be 2026. Or no, 2024,
Yeah, I think 2025.
right? It increases the stipend for the council president. It says that 4 members constitute a quorum. Any special meeting that could be called by 4 members. And a couple more things on the end, I think I had. Yeah,
When was the last time council salary was increased?
2000.
2000.
99.
Two-
I, oh,
2000,
oh,
Yeah.
oh, I got it.
22 years ago.
Yes.
Embarrassing.
so the, you know,
Is it catching up on inflation?
2000.
2000, so it's been 22 years since they got a raise. It takes out section O under. Go over the top, this is real heavy. Under powers and duties, it takes out section O, that's the language that says with. That says, it's against state law because it's taken the power away from school committees to negotiate contracts. Ordinances.
Oh, yeah, that's big deal.
So take a look at all of that, see what you think. Also. School committee is moved to 7. When you look at a 402, the election in 2024 and every 4 years after. members shall be elected. So in 2024, there will be 3 seats that will still be there. You know, catch what I'm saying? So I'm trying to
Just keep
line
it
it up.
staggered, yeah.
There's
Just,
stagger.
yeah, to keep that staggered. So those 3 people that are on those seats would be up in the 26th election. That's how that's written. Vacancy in the school committee would be filled by the town council.
It's the same one.
All your language.
No stagger on the town council is the goal.
No, it is staggered.
It is
It is
staggered.
staggered. There's only 4 people will be elected.
not-
On the
Oh,
school.
excuse me, no
No,
stagger on the town council because
No
it's.
stagger. That's right.
But so obviously this year's election. The people elected this year for town council would serve the full 4 years, then it would
Correct.
switch over in 2026.
Correct. It just happened to fall right into place like that. I add compensation, because right now, compensation is not even in the charter.
You gotta change something in that.
So this I just did today. I had to slide it over.
You put in here, the additional $2,000 should be paid to the president of the town council,
See that,
so you
yeah.
don't wanna do that twice.
I put it in quickly.
Yeah,
because didn't
I
have it,
understand it.
because I hadn't split it over yet. So it sets the salary of the school committee member at $8,000 with an allowance for the president of the school or chairperson of the school
Chairperson.
chairperson. I thought I carried it over and wrote it right. I did it underneath. I just didn't change it up on the top. Because it says, that, the town council may from time to time fix the salary of each school committee member and chairperson. And it keeps the same language so that you can't correct, an incoming.
Right.
Yeah, an incoming or an outgoing council. So just something I put together quickly. I had Beth and her family on Sunday and it's causing a little bit of work for me because I was caretaker for both of them. And one of them is gone and the other one can't be left alone, so I got a lot of work doing there, and then over the next couple of days, I gotta be looking at nursing homes or assisted living places, so. So I've been under a little bit of stress over the weekend, so you're looking at me sideways when I'm reading this. I'm just trying to get it out there and highlight some points and
That's great.
in
Super.
case any of our viewers want to know what we're doing. I know that I've had several people ask me about mass. And we've talked about, getting downsizing the size of the districts to get a little more representation, particularly in the western end. And even if you have a mayor, there's 3 voices out there for the people that live at that end of the town. So good point. So that's just, for your perusal. No vote. I would say we're probably doing some emailing stuff over the weekend to try to get closer and closer to Monday. But any discussion on it, or you want to just read it over and please make suggestions
Yeah, I
and
think I
things-
can do that.
and things that you think are important. I just want to keep it on an even keel. So that they're co-equal and it kind of forces them to get things done. So if there's no other comment, Scott, you okay?
I'm good.
Okay. Public comment.
Do we want to talk new business first?
Oh, I'm sorry. You wanted to add new business.
Talk about Monday.
Monday.
This Monday presentation and report and what we want to provide. And what do we think we can get done
Yes. So,
by Monday at
By
a
Monday.
presentation?
So I think as long as we're on the agenda, I don't know, sorry.
We need to have a motion to add new business to the agenda because it's not on here.
there a motion?
I'll make a
Add
motion
new
to add new business to today's agenda.
Motion by Jim, seconded by Bob. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Voted.
Aye.
Bob's an aye too. Go ahead, Jim.
So Monday, I've just, this is the first time I've heard of it. So, and I know they had that as a deadline for us. In fact, we talked about the 23rd and the 27th as potential two presentation times with the town council. June 27th is a presentation of some of our proposals. That is the intent.
I think, when I talked to Ben today, he said it would be advantageous if we, even if we didn't have all of our language done. Okay, to go in and do a presentation, if each of us want to do their own, which I think is good. It doesn't necessarily have to have the language with it. It will in Bob's case, because we pretty much voted on that.
And mine for filling
and-
vacancies, that was all done.
Yeah, that one's all done. But we can still present about the budget. Because there are a couple of things that you want to
Yeah,
change.
I think-
So giving them the gist of everything and saying, here we are. Here are the things that we want to do. Here are the reasons that we want to do it. We need a couple more days just to finish up, tighten up the language for you. Because Ben said that the council really wants to be able to take a look at it and address it on the 28th of July. I think that was the day he gave me. There's 2 meetings in July. It must
Okay.
be the 14th and the 28th,
The 14th and the 28th of July are for.
I think. At our town council meeting. Because that's what I thought I heard.
Where we can continue our presentation and fine tune things, or hopefully give them a lot of, a final report in advance.
Typically,
On the
when
14th.
when a charter review is put together, it's put together in December. Okay? After an election, they put it together in December. And then they give, they start and then they get 6 months. We didn't get in until
Middle of January.
the 14th, I believe, of January. And, we actually don't have to stop until the 14th of July. But the council president is anxious to get things done because they have, they're putting out another budget request. I think it's possible. I don't think it's definite. I went to the meeting the other night and they made some cuts, about $370,000, I think. But there were only 2 council persons there, so I think that they're gonna meet again. This Monday night?
They have 3 there,
Yeah, 3 there, right?
2 were
Yeah, 2 were missed, I think. Hillary had COVID and Ann was on vacation, I believe, or scheduled vacation. So,
But it sounds like. Let's buzz through all these things in one way, shape or form on Monday. Fine tune language and other things and get a report into them for the 14th.
mhm.
Does that sound right to
Let me
everybody?
I'll just double check with Ben again,
Yeah, just to be sure.
because he's tied up at another meeting tonight too.
Maybe
So,
we pull, I saw the draft. Language preliminary.
Yeah,
But I like, because I remember when Ann was here, they like the idea of having the language and with all the, like the word changes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I gotta watch the version control. I didn't turn it on again, so I just highlighted it in blue. Cause like in mine, they're gonna see 4 million changes, and if I'm a town council, I'll be like, what did you do here? When we just, I think Ted's example was like, oh, got it, no problem. Mine, lots of verbiage changes, so having a summary up front is very helpful. And I also like to suggest that I think the template that Bob has put together, to me, and you use it as well, that's the report could have all these templates in there. And then you included the language, but we're not including the language and how it changed.
Mhm.
Because I think they really wanted that, right?
I think they want to see what was there and what are you proposing to be there.
Right, so.
Because when they see
for
things, they want to
So
see,
whether you did side by side or,
yeah, we need a best way to do that.
That's gonna be a lot to absorb and understand for anybody.
To me, just as one pager is perfect. Then the language is this, we want the language, here it is.
Yeah.
We'll tell you what we changed in like 5 bullet points,
It's the flip notes.
right?
Right,
You wanna read the
so
whole
that's the revisions to old language and new language.
Okay,
Okay. Couple that with a synopsis of the rationale for the pros and cons, recommendation and what the questions would be. And they're welcome to, it's just a synopsis
She needed a report.
form. They can debate the language all they want. They can ask whatever questions they want regarding, why things were
Yeah, we have
decided.
our backup with us, but this template plus showing how the language changed. Everybody does the same thing. That becomes our report with as you wrote, like a kind of preamble of the whole
Right.
thing. Seems to work for me. And I personally would have a few things with me if I needed them. I think most of the stuff is in my brain right now if I needed to discuss it. Because they're gonna ask questions. What do you guys think about that? Just embracing this template that, Bob's already used, Ted's already used it. It works pretty well.
I think it keeps it pretty simple.
Yeah, they see the same template for every one of our like 8 or 10 proposals.
And I ask that we make a decision on what color we're gonna use for what is new language, because I'm going colorblind.
Yeah, I kind of screwed you up because I turned off the
Yep.
change thing and messed
Red,
it up.
red with a strike through is the delete, blue with an underline is the new language. Well, all the other, everything else is black.
Yeah, I could see why you want to do that. But that's good. I'm with that. I'm going to try to figure it out, but I could do that. It's not that much. Language. I've looked at that budget stuff enough. It's not like a few pages. So there it is right there. Right?
Okay,
Let's
so
do that.
deleted language is read with strike through.
Just use Scott's example.
Some of the examples out there.
I know.
It's the easiest thing to read.
New language is blue underline.
I'm gonna resend you.
Red stripe through blue underline.
Different colors.
And I
Green and orange when you get it, but anyway.
and if it's not being touched, it stays in black.
Yes.
So is the plan to send the council everything by Friday, so it's in their agenda packet? No, I'm just trying, like, are we only sending them the stuff that's been voted on and complete?
She has put us on her agenda,
Okay,
and I told her that we probably won't have everything done.
okay.
Regarding the agenda, what we were chatting about earlier, we have to be added, specifically if we're gonna meet in any capacity as well.
I've sent an email to the town manager as we were here to try and get clarification on that, just to get out in front of it, because it is under a time crunch.
Because it would have to be posted tomorrow.
Yeah, because they need to post the agenda tomorrow, and I think they received their agenda packets on Friday.
If there's a possibility, to your point, if there's a possibility that the commission is going to meet prior to the town council meeting, which is what, 6 o'clock? Then that would have to be
Separately.
Tomorrow too.
correct.
In going into this, is there anything that we really need to go forward to give them an initial presentation? I'm trying to look at it from the town council point of view. Okay, it's getting down there, it's busy, they're dealing with the budget. This stuff is all hanging out there. They want an idea as to what's going on. I doubt very much that any action will be taken on anything, but that gives them until the next meeting to decide whether or not, to go through any documents that are there, formulate their questions, get back to us and have us respond before they take it under final consideration in July. So I don't know that unless there's something that's really hanging out there in the air, is there any need for us to be there and have a meeting prior to this?
I don't think there's anything we need to meet beforehand. I
Yeah.
think it just,
I think it's a good idea to kind of rehearse what we're doing.
I think it's a good idea for them to allow us a little bit more time. We lost a week
Yeah.
for one thing. And there's really no reason, we're being asked to do 6 months worth of work in 5.25 months. So I could be mean and say you're not gonna get it until I want to give it to you, but I understand that they're under a lot of pressure trying to get this second budget out. It wouldn't be hard for them to have either call a special meeting or just wait until the next meeting that they have. As long as it's not too pressing for them. I will ask Ben about that. and then we'll see.
And I was thinking that they could have something in their hands for Friday, which obviously would be great. I mean, maybe that like. It could just literally be the list of things that we were doing with like a couple of bullet points each. So they know, oh, these are the 10 things they're gonna talk about. We're working on the details.
Yeah,
Something like that,
exactly.
something like that would be helpful, right?
But you know, I guess they want to make their decision on where they want to go with things on the 28th of July. Because the ballots will be printed in August.
Mhm.
You know, and like I said, they're dealing with trying to get a second budget out there.
I mean, we'll be able to give them a lot on Monday. I think it won't be fine tuned and completed,
But I think we
but
have.
they'll
most of
have
the-
a pretty good sense of things after that meeting, don't you think? So,
And I don't know if it would help. Jim, I know you created a PowerPoint for the budget items. You could probably send that to like the IT director, so it could be ready for the, so if that's something you
yeah,
want to
I
share
don't-
at this point.
I think that's what we're talking about. How much do we want to do? Because they're gonna be pressed for time. It's gonna be. Right, it's gonna be
They got a
super,
bunch of other stuff.
it's
going
gonna be
on.
very quick. I don't think it's gonna, I think that presentation,
Okay.
they have it. They got it already.
Oh, okay,
So they looked at it.
okay.
Here's our presentation.
They have it.
Language to follow.
Yep.
Here's our presentation. This is what we want to change. Here are the reasons why we want to change it. Legislation to follow.
And we have several items tonight that have been voted on that
Yeah.
are ready to go
Right
forward.
now, so.
I'd be cautious too, just to overwhelm them with too much, just what they have in their plate with the budget, and then just the meeting where. All the work we put in, we give them too much. It's too easy for them just to hit the easy button, right, and just.
Well, I don't think that they'll hit the easy
I
button.
hope they would.
I think-
We gotta keep it
that-
simple.
I
It could
think
be
they
overwhelming.
understand that, you know, the voters are asking for change.
Yeah.
You know, and they deserve, you know, to have, you know, something presented to them, something that they would like to see. You know. Big problems, you don't make little changes to.
No, no, but the big problems also, there's a lot
that goes with it.
Yeah. But like I said, this is what. This is for the people, so.
Yeah, we can keep that, I think with them, we keep the presentation pretty simple. You know, it's this is why. Key points. You have the language. I don't think we need to read through all the language they'll have. They'll have it. If they don't have it, for Monday, we're gonna get it to them. We're fine tuning,
We will
working with Red.
work over the weekend to get everything ready.
But if I'm them, I'm like, oh, they want to change this because of A, B, and C. Okay, no, more importantly, give them a chance to ask some questions. You know, I'll keep it simple.
Okay.
I think that's what we, you guys agree? I mean, I think they're going buzz right through it. That's what they want to do. The questions will be important.
I think
I've never,
They want to know what's gonna hit them.
I mean, if you've seen these presentations done before, I've never seen it done before. So has anybody had experience seeing a previous presentation?
Yeah, it's,
One, and it was virtual, so.
you know, it's not super big, but I just wanted to have everybody involved in it, because I didn't want it to seem like it's one person doing all the work and anybody would know, anybody that watches this know that everybody's doing all the work. So,
Yeah, my biggest problem in marketing presentations, I could present too much, too long. So that's why I keep saying, keep it simple, because my experience has been, that's what people actually want. They want, get right to the point.
we'll
Keep
see,
it
we'll see
simple.
what we can, what Ben and myself and the council president can come up with.
Okay,
In fact,
that'd be a good conversation here.
with your stuff, the general outline on the time frame that gives you the gist of it without the details is probably what they're would be looking at this point.
Yeah.
And then could fill in the details with any questions that they might have at the moment.
In terms of the timeline,
Yeah.
Like your
yeah,
summary,
basically.
like here's, we're gonna do this, then this, then this, then we have this possibly at this point, then this, and possibly this, and then we're here.
yeah, see, to me, I would disagree. I would not even get into it. You know, I think
Well, not necessarily the timeline, but, you know, per se.
Not
but-
giving the dates, so
But, you know, this section, okay, where you have the,
you have the public
You
hearings,
start getting
then you
public
make an
hearings,
initial,
make the
then you
initial
make an initial,
Yeah.
whatever we call it, provisional budget, then. People
Yeah,
can petition
1,
for
2,
small
3.
things, then you do the
Right,
final
just
budget,
bullet
then they can
points.
petition
Super
for a big
simple.
referendum, and then.
right, they'll ask any questions that would fill that out that they would need at the time. And before they vote on it, they're gonna have the full document to be able to read.
And let's keep in mind, everything we're doing, the first thing we have to say is, why are we doing it?
Mhm.
That's gotta be the first thing we say.
To make government work a little bit better.
Yeah, we can say that with everyone.
Yeah,
We'll all say the exact same thing every time we get on.
well,
Well, it's true, though. It's true, though.
you know,
It's true, though. You're not
I,
wrong.
it's not hard. You can't disagree with the fact that the voters in Coventry aren't happy and haven't been for a while. And you can't survive on no's. So, one of the, on the discussion Monday night was that the charter tells them that they shall put it on the budget. I know a lot of people comment, they say, well, they keep putting it up and putting it up and putting it up until it gets passed and it,
That's what
They
it's
have
called
to.
for.
yeah, but the law tells you to do that. So, and a lot of people think that when you vote something down, it's
You
over.
get the alternative, it's not.
You know, it's so difficult to see a budget get cut like that. Because it begs the question, why wasn't it like that at the beginning?
Mhm.
You get into that conundrum.
And why didn't,
The amount of money.
now
that
you
was
can,
cut.
now you're willing to cut this, why didn't you cut it the first time?
Yeah,
Now, what was cut was really not substantial.
No, I don't think actually, I actually think they went through more and
Actually-
found things that were more,
They found
One
things that
time.
they could cut that would hurt less than other things.
So we're in new business and we're kind of wavering a little bit here.
all right,
yeah,
So-
yes,
so
yeah.
you're
we're-
done with
we're-
your new
We're
business?
done with new business.
Is there any other public comment between ourselves or anyone on the screen? I see one other. See Mr. iPhone Kent there. I don't see a hand up. Scott is there. And if there is no further business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
When is our next meeting? Today?
Um,
Or you just put in here,
I would put in there, subject to change. Because we're still gonna plan on getting something ready for them on Monday.
Okay.
How much we can get done. And whether or not the council president is willing to just give us a little bit more time. Thank you. Motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourn.
All right,
Who
see
was
you guys
right?
Monday then.
Can
Talk to
you
you
turn
later.
that
I
off?
had you for the second, Jim for the motion.
Can you turn
I've
that?
talked so much, I'm moving out here.
Oh,
he's
I
got.
was thinking about, that'd be quick.
I was,